Next tip. Next tip. Playing something depends on your actor or your singer. If they cannot act properly, stop planning some stupid ideas. Next tip. What? Next tip. Plan something depending on the actor or the singer's ability, because if they cannot act, your plan is just like nothing because they cannot act what you meant to. Jeez. Next tip. Plan something depending. Next tip. Plan something depending on the actor or the singer's ability. Stop planning some wild ideas and they cannot act. They cannot. It's just. Your plan will just fail. Next tip. Plan your. Next tip. Plan your. Next tip. Plan your ideas depending on the. Next tip. Plan your ideas depending on the singer or the actor's ability. Stop planning some stupid ideas that no one can act. Just because the budget and the singer and some limitations, so you cannot plan some wild ideas and they cannot just do it for you. So they're not professional like the singer. They're Next tip. Plan something depending on the actor's, the singer's ability. Stop planning some stupid ideas just like the singer. They cannot act. They are not actors. And you plan some wild ideas and they cannot do anything. And your plan will just fail and just. In your plan, if you plan some super wild stuff, um, your plan will just fail, and this music video will be a piece of crap. Piece of crap. If you plan something super wild, if you plan something super wild, if you plan something super wild, just it will be a disaster because no one can do it, and it will become. If you plan something super wild and no one can act, it will be a disaster and just. If you plan something super wild and no one can act, it will be a super disaster. So last tip, graphic designer. This is the post-production part. Next tip is the post-production stuff. Next tip is for post-production. Um, Next tip is for post-production. This is my first time to work with a graphic designer to graphic. Next tip is for post-production stuff. This is my first. Next tip is my. Next tip is. Next tip is for post-production. Next tip during the post. Next tip during the post-production. If you design your graphic